up, y'all? Jake right there with the settings. Thank you guys for rocking with another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you for all that you do. That said, go back to that real quick. Thank you guys. All that you do. There you go. Smooth as bow. Get that. All right. You want Yeti. Thank you guys again for being a part of. Little crazy start this morning. So, my shot's a little different. I need to fix that. And so we're gonna go ahead and kick it off. We got my brother from another mother hanging in the wings. So we're gonna get started in a minute. So today we're talking about living with consequences, some of our actions and the things that we do. And I realize we're gonna probably dig into a little slightly hot topic with that, but it's gonna be very specific. All right. So again, appreciate you guys for rocking with us. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Always share. Let everybody know that the Brothers of Legacy are on the scene, crispy and clean. So we look forward to seeing you in a few moments. So we're going to kick it off and get this ball rolling, get the show started, and all that, and then some.
I want to welcome you to the Brothers of Legacy broadcast, where we are changing our community one conversation at a time, every day.
We are creating a new legacy.
Change gon' come. Change gon' come. Change gon' come. Change gon' come. Change gon' come.
A co-op has to start with ownership. Right. We have a mindset of either I want to make a lot of money or survive. Make a bunch of money or I got to figure out how to survive.
When you have a real bond, when everyone has, we come in with real expectations. Mm-hmm. Because this is covenant.
The whole point is this, that we as a people, with our money and time, aren't often making this general possible, often vested in the legacy.
You're watching the Brothers of Legacy. We don't stand out. We stand up.
Hey. All right. What's up, baby?
What's going on, brother?
All is well, man. All is well. So again, welcome to the Brothers of Legacy. We appreciate you guys for being here. Blessings, Lisa. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate you guys for being here. And all my podcast people listening. Oh, all right. Coming to the stage right now, all the way from Kankakee to California to Okinawa, Japan. Right. Hey. Morning. In the building. Good morning, sir.
Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy Monday, my brother. Happy Monday.
Welcome back, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to be back.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right. So today we are discussing living with the consequences. Living with the consequences. And mainly living with the consequences of our actions and the things that we do. And basically the perspective of how we have to kind of process and deal with. Yes, indeed, Kathy. It is Monday. Uh-oh. Did we lose you, Kadeem? Hey, Mama Corey. Great morning to you. Greetings.
Hello, mother.
So make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Make sure you are tagging other people if you're in the Facebook space and let everybody know that the brothers are in the building. All right. So like I said, today we're talking about living with consequences. Some of the things, the decisions we've made that we've had to, well, pretty much every decision. I think every decision has a consequence, whether it's an action or an inaction. Like I ain't doing nothing, and then it kind of just tries to fall apart. Right. All right. So like I said, today we're going to discuss some of the aspects of our lives that how we kind of processed dealing with the consequences. And let's talk about work, or in the workspace, or financial decisions that we've made. I don't know if I've ever told the story about the job I had for like one day. One day, I had a job for one day, because at the end of the shift, right, I was working at this plant that made the wrappings for soda bottles, so that plastic wrap that's around the soda bottles, like Pepsi and Coke and stuff like that. So I was working in that plant. I think I was like janitor or something, doing cleanup, and it's a big plant, so you kind of, everything is industrial, so it wasn't like sweeping, but like a big room, it wasn't hard work. It was more mechanical than anything. And at the end of the shift, I got it through a temp agency. So at the end of the shift, my man was like, and it was Friday. I'm 20-ish, early 20-ish, just perspective. Hey, it's Friday. He's like, hey, so am I going to see you this weekend? My default answer was like, nah, chief, I'll see you on Monday. Not realizing the question was rhetorical. I thought it was an actual question. It was, no, I will see you on Monday. See you on Saturday. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. But I'd already said, nah, chief, I'm gonna be here. I'll be here on Monday. So he didn't say anything. I get a call from the temp agency, just before cell phones, or before cell phones were affordable. So I get a call on Monday, was it that Saturday? That Saturday, because I think the temp place was open. It's like, hey, did you say you didn't want to work anymore? I was like, what you mean? I told him I'll see him on Monday. This job is for Saturday too. I was like, well, my bad. Can I? He was like, nah, we already filled it, because my man was hot. He didn't say that to me, because when you deal with a temp agency, like, you know what? I don't have to deal with you. I'm gonna go and deal with it. Let them do the heavy lifting of letting you go. So yeah, consequences, to their actions. That's small, but it's like those moments where you have an opportunity and you go for the comfort as opposed to going towards the work that it takes to become something, and for me, I was young. Weekends, that's my time. that's my time, realizing no, it's not how this works. So what are some of the decisions you've made, like, in your life, that had immediate effects? Like I talked about the job, like, even if it was small, it was like, or even if it was like small, but man, had I made a better choice, my life financially, at least, I might have been in a different space, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like a meeting you might have had, and you're meeting with somebody that probably could have shifted your life at that moment, but you said something like real dumb, and you're like, dang it, my one shot, like, ooh, he was like the captain of that industry. His word alone would have took me from here to like here, and not to, and just as a disclaimer, this is not about us living in regret, but we know those twists and turns in life. Had I taken the time to like check the oil a little more, my car wouldn't have locked up the engine, like just small little things, like I real quick, while you're kind of thinking, like there was a time we was in North Carolina, and I think I got my oil changed, because I think they did it. I don't think I did it. And they didn't put, I think they changed the antifreeze or did something, but they didn't put any antifreeze in there. And I had a feeling it wasn't in there. But, we drove, car overheated, and pretty much it was no good. And I think Sam was starting some, working at Blue Cross Blue Shield. Like, there was some opportunities about to open up. But because I jacked the car up, it just, what became just like a little, maybe some work to became like this. This is life. You're like, oh, how did I get back having to go up this hill again? So, but small things like where our life would have been had, the car not get messed up. You feel what I'm saying? Like small things, small things that you think, man, I would be at least financially here. And like I said, again, we're not talking about regret, but we're just talking about living with the consequences, because now you got to get back, you got to figure it out. Now I got to get back to normal. so I can launch myself into the next level. So what kind of situations have you ever been in where, like, thinking back, you're like, I just made the wrong move, that had I just had a level head, spoke slowly, instead of jumping so quickly, I would have helped an opportunity.
Man. Okay. You said it ain't regret. I'm trying to. I mean, I'm trying to separate them. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I mean, it's always, you always think about what you could have done, right? But I don't know. It's like okay to like have a regretful like moment, but not living in it. You know what I'm saying? Like every time something go bad, you go back to like, man, I should have just, living in that moment. Whereas you just kind of think about certain things that had the consequences that shifted, and it might have been a blessing though, because the consequence is just a result of an action.
I'm gonna give you mine. What I think about when you say live with the consequences. Mm-hmm. So I'd probably say in my early 30s. So I'm coming out of my adolescence and my early 20s where I'm reckless, and I'm making that transition into my the maturation of Kaneem Curvey.
Okay.
And I was just I wasn't in the streets, but I was still smoking weed. I was still drinking. I was still, doing drugs or whatever. So I got this job, and it was a good job. You know what I'm saying? It was fair wages or whatever, but it wasn't all that. But I still wasn't taking care of my body. So I'm doing a lot to corrupt my body.
Okay.
And that what some people say, I ain't gonna say all people say.
Right.
They say that your body is your temple, right? So take care of your, okay. So, but with this good job, I had all these benefits.
Okay.
Across the board. I mean, medical, dental, life, 401k,
nice,
pension, company match, all that. So, but I still had my same lifestyle while I had this good job. You feel me?
Right.
So I ended up anyway, living the life of a bachelor. I got money, I got, things and all that, and then I get sick. And the reason I get sick because I wasn't taking care of myself.
Right.
So I had all these benefits, but wasn't using none of them for my health.
Okay.
I'm using everything for material things and entertainment, but none for my health.
Right. What's up, Richard?
All right, brother Richard. So, make a long story short. Well, I'm gonna compress it. I ain't gonna make it short. I'm just gonna compress it. How about that?
I get it.
So anyway, got all this stuff going on, and one thing I had to live with the consequences was that I never really checked, like how you talking about that oil and the antifreeze, and you felt like you should have, but you didn't check, and you had to live with the consequences of not checking. So I had high blood pressure and didn't know it. Because I had never broken a bone, never, had any type of Major injuries, never been, in any type of accident that would warrant me to go to the hospital or something like that, right?
Right.
But when it caught up to me, I had blood pressure for a long time. So
Right.
yeah, I think I know I told y'all the story about being at LA Fitness, working out, and then just doing my thing, and I'm come out of there and I'm throwing up cold water and this, that, and the third, trying to figure out what's going on.
Wow.
Go and get me a physical because I didn't know what this is my first physical since playing football in high school now. And I'm in my 30s.
I got you. I'm with you. A lot happened.
You know what I'm saying? So this is my first physical. And then it was free because I had all these benefits.
Right.
So I get that first physical, man, and they tell me I got all these issues. I got high blood pressure. My creatinine levels are through the roof. What did the lady call it? I got chronic renal failure. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't did everything. Took me to the back. I got surgery. Wake up with all these tubes in me. Right. Now I got a lifeline. It's kind of almost like it is right now, but not quite. So I would say that's probably one of the consequences I had to deal with, and I had to deal with that for 11 years. So that was a long time of dealing with consequences, and it was on my mind for 11 years. Like you said, regret. I said, well, you had all these benefits. You had all these opportunities to get this thing checked. And all you had to do was go to the doctor, and when you found out you had high blood pressure, you could have took one little old pill, and your life would have been so much different than it is right now. Right. But you was out there just balling, thinking you was some type of superstar with your little check, and instead of you going to the doctor every month or every 6 months or whatever, at least once a year or so.
Right.
That's my little story about living with consequences. I'm gonna pass the mic.
Wow. Yeah, that's big. That is big.
I'm gonna go back to something you said in the beginning when you first started. You said somebody said, or some people say about your body being a temple. You're right. The Apostle Paul said it.
Right.
It's in the Bible. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Know ye not that your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost and not your own. Right. You are bought with a price.
Right.
I just want to let you know you was right on with that.
All right.
What's some look and God said it through Paul. And I've had that similar mistakes made in my life, man, health-wise. I just heard a comedian, say, this guy Patrice, he said, there's a difference when men, the difference between men and women is women will go to great lengths to take care of their men when we're sick. And men are different because we just don't love y'all like y'all love us.
Wow.
That's a side issue.
That's a hard way to look at it.
He said when men get sick and we got aches and pains and we're going through stuff, coughing or whatever, women be like, oh, poor baby, come here, let me help you. And and women catch what you got. Your wife or your woman will. But when your woman gets sick, men be like, ugh. Let me know when you feel better. You still gonna be able to cook? It was funny. Sorry, I'm getting off track here. It was a joke. The comedian said,
little jokey joke.
Yeah, jokey joke. It's just jokes. But when you ask the question, AD, I'm like, man, living with consequences that are not regrettable.
Yeah, hard to separate, right?
I'm like, you got to help me out with that one, bro. I need some clarity. And again, we're talking about the things that we view as mistakes in our lives.
In a sense, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying I got a lot. Right. There's a lot of them. Like, which category? Use like money, health. I have them in every area.
Right.
You know. left when I should have went right, or right when I should have went left. But
Right.
one in
Lord.
yeah, I forgot about Friday.
Thank you.
I think about one instance. I was at a Christmas party for work, and I had been at the company, I don't know, maybe 6 months, and people were really impressed with my level of professionalism, my ability to do my job, my level of knowledge. And so we were at this Christmas party, and my wife was with me. And I'll never forget that this was a team of engineers and support people, and my director was up saying something to the group. And I was coming from the bathroom, and I came up behind my director. And while my director was talking, I stood behind the director, and I was, making hand motions and playing behind the director's head, and everybody started laughing. And it was a joke, and the director turned around like, "Oh, Brian, I didn't know you were funny like that."
Hold on. Let me pause real quick. You ever feel like, as a manager, folks go to sarcastic class, like
Yeah,
good. Some people
yeah,
get you with that gut punch. You like,
right.
oh,
Because that's exactly what it was. I was like having fun. I'm thinking
right.
that it was fun, but the director was actually embarrassed and was like, "Oh, yeah." And the response, and I'm like, and everybody started laughing and clapping and all that. And I got back to my seat, and I told my wife, that was a mistake. Now, I don't know if I was in line for an increase or promotion, elevation, or whatever before that moment.
Right.
But if I was, that moment killed it.
That's
Right.
it. You know, slow your progress down.
That was it. I mean, I didn't lose my job or anything, but
Right.
things changed. Right. My director didn't make jokes anymore. It was like there was a shift.
Right. Right.
But I still ended up getting promoted, and I got out from under that director, like,
Right.
6 months later, a year later. I can't remember what it was, but that was a regrettable moment.
Right.
Because not only did I come away saying, "Oof," not really liking how that response came,
Right.
but later on, like that next week at work, folks was like, "Oh man, did you see the look on his face?" It was, yeah. So I knew that I got the validation that I probably could have kept that one.
Right.
But yeah, that was regrettable. Driving too long on a road trip without taking a break.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
Jesus.
Right.
Yeah. And dozing off at the wheel. Regrettable. Not an accident didn't happen, but I came so close
Right.
that I'm like, "Oh man, you need to stop."
Right.
Those types of things have happened. But dude, I got so many, man. I mean, light and heavy. Right.
Right.
So
Right.
financial mistakes, I can't even begin to explain. Like I used to, growing up, I used to balance my mom's checkbook. Well, I paid bills for my mom.
Right.
But I never, I didn't really get a grasp of how critical that was. It was just a task that I did for my mother, right? Because she was working all the time.
Right.
And then when I got mine, like when I was in basic training, I got kudos for being able to balance my checkbook, because when I was in basic training, the drill sergeants worked with you with your finances. They wanted to make sure these young children, these kids coming in, weren't acting silly. And so I actually got kudos from the drill sergeant in front of our squad, our platoon, for my checkbook balancing, because so many people were struggling to keep the checkbook balanced. But because of my experience helping my mom,
Right.
I knew how to balance a checkbook.
Wow. Okay.
Get out of basic training, I threw the checkbook away. Wow. I was writing checks. Man, I got to Korea and my money was delayed.
Oh.
But I had checks. So
you gonna take this?
Right. I was like, something happened and my money wasn't catching up to me overseas. but I still had checks and I needed stuff.
Right.
So I kept writing checks,
Right.
kept writing them, and got to the point to where it came back to haunt me. It took like 3 months
Wow.
for me to recognize how I had overdrawn my account. And I'm thinking because it took like 2 months for me to get my money in Korea. But I figured, well, you know what, the money's going to catch up to me and it'll balance out in
It'll
the
balance
end.
out. It'll balance out. Right.
Nah, because I wasn't balancing my checkbook. It was not going to balance out. Like I didn't carry the one. And I got to a point where I got in trouble when I don't know if I ever shared this story with my mom. She's hearing this now for the first time. So when I was in Korea, like after about 3 months in Korea, I spent the next 3 months not being able to do anything financially, having to live off my friends because I couldn't write a check because my name had made a list of bad check writing. So it took me like 3 months to get off that list. So yeah, that happened.
You that dude where you go to the store, you see the checks up that these are the checks we ain't taking. I've seen those. I'm like, oh, that's horrible. That's horrible.
Hey, listen, I was all the way overseas. I was 18 years old. And I saw everybody spending money.
Right.
And I didn't have any. I'm like, I'm gonna write me a check. That happened. That happened.
Wow. So like, all right, just a quick reset. We want to thank you guys for watching the Brothers of Legacy. Today we're talking about living with consequences, you know, some of the actions that we take. You know, how do we, so have you ever or been in a space where, you know, you've done it, but you've blamed external circumstances or people, like you 100%, or I'll give you 90%. Someone else could have probably saved you had they done their part, but most of it was on you. You know, like you know, signing the bad contract. They should have told me. Well, it was in the contract. you just didn't read. You know, that person. You know, and if they're in a position to just gain from you signing, they can tell you the highlights of what they want you to know. You know, but the intricacies is up to you to read. You know, but of course you're blaming them for giving you a bad contract when it was in black and white right there. It's probably right above your signature where it says you're gonna owe if you do. You know, like so have you guys been in that position? Like I know at least most of my life, like I'm never one to blame others. Like I'll crucify myself first, but there be moments like, you know, after you mull it over, it's kind of like, this is how I find my way out. But they should have told me, you know, taking all this anger from myself and throwing it somewhere else. Have you guys been in that position, like, you know, just to put it off on someone else and not really take responsibility for your actions?
The same way that I brag about myself when I do well,
right?
I beat myself down when I do wrong,
right?
So I've never really been the kind of person that put it off on somebody else. Okay. I've had people say to me, well, you should have told me. I'm like, I should have told you. Like, you did this. Like, right. You know, I've been on that side of it.
Okay.
You know, I've also felt like, I'm like, you seem, I hear your frustration, but it sounds like you're mad at me. You know, like, am I, you know, like I'm supposed to have a different response to something you messed up on.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I've never really been the kind of person to point the finger at anybody else. I think what I have done is probably been harder on myself than I should have.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that there are certain things that I took hits for, and I think I stayed in the dungeon of punishment too long.
Right.
I should have gotten over myself. I should have forgiven myself. and chalk it up as a mistake. You know, you were young, that kind of thing. You know, because I think I have spent a lot of times. I mean, I've lived dangerously at times in my life, but I think I've spent far too much time holding myself to something that I should have gotten over, should have forgiven myself.
Right.
You know, I did a lot. I spent a lot of years doing that, and I'm talking about like even coming to know the Lord.
Right.
I had to learn to forgive myself. But that's why I think it's important that we understand how forgiving a God we have. How much of a forgiving God is that we have, you know, because when you understand the level of God's love for you, you can get over yourself. So no, I didn't. Again, to answer your question, I probably spent very little time blaming somebody else for my mess.
Man, I'm the total opposite.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, from the age of 13 to 25, I was blaming everybody, and it was all my fault. You know what I'm saying? Like when you talk about somebody who did not mature in a timely manner, it was me. Because I was out, like you talking about dangerous situations. From 13 to 25, that's all I wanted. I wanted a dangerous situation. Hey man, why you going over there with these dudes and y'all know it's gonna be an issue?
Right.
Adrenaline pumping, ready, you know what I'm saying? It's just, yeah. But I'm blaming them if something happens.
Yeah.
Why you do that? Why you ain't come around the corner quicker? I'm just saying, but
right.
once I got to a point, once I got out of that environment, when I saw the world differently, and I knew the world had more to offer, and it was something that I could live for and a purpose, and I began to gain focus on, you know what I'm saying, like regular stuff, like, okay, you really do need to start paying these bills. Like, okay, you got a light bill now.
Right.
You got a water bill. You got different, because from 13 to 25, I was just in the streets.
Right.
And you ain't had to, wasn't no bills and groceries, and I ain't had to worry about, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, I'm finna go over such a house. I'm gonna crash. I'm gonna go get me a hotel room. I'm going, you know, it was just, you know what I'm saying? You just moving fast. You feel me? So yeah, from 13 to 25, man, it was everybody else's fault.
Wow.
Yeah. It was your fault.
Wow.
You know, didn't you say, aren't you the same brother that said you spent some time incarcerated?
Yes.
I find it interesting. It was a rhetorical question. I knew the answer. I needed you to say it in order for me to say this.
Go ahead.
There is a level of consistency with someone that has been incarcerated and that mindset of blaming somebody else. Right?
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I heard what you said, and I'm just like, Kaneem also said he spent time locked up.
Right.
And I know of all the people that I've known in my life that have been locked up, they spend a lot of time blaming other people for their issues.
Right.
And most, like I'm saying, like all the guys that I knew were locked up didn't start coming to grips with being their fault until they came out. Right. Because when you're locked up, you can't blame anybody.
Right.
All you have is yourself in that 6x9 and time to think.
Right.
Well, let me get a disclaimer. I spent time in the county jail, not the state penitentiary. Let me get that. I never made it to the state penitentiary.
Well, I wasn't trying to call you a felon.
The county jail saw my face familiar, y'all.
Yeah. Okay. You said time incarcerated. You
yes,
spent
sir.
time.
Yes, sir.
You know, in a place where you couldn't just decide to leave if you wanted to go.
Right. No.
And I'm saying, and there's levels to it. I'm just saying that to hear you say that, and I've heard from, and I wasn't trying to say you had been in prison, but I'm saying that I've heard a consistent pattern.
I mean, I agree.
A consistent narrative with people, and some, you know, it takes going to prison. Some it takes going to the boys' home. Some it takes going to the county jail. You know, some it takes a night in jail. Some it takes a week in jail. Some it takes a month in jail. Some it takes 10 years in prison.
Right.
You know, some people get out and they still can't. They go back in. I'm just saying that there's a consistency in that narrative, right? And I thought that was interesting that you said that. But
Yeah.
I think when you consider what happens to an individual that spends most of their life blaming something else
Right.
for an internal thing that they could have done differently,
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be a higher price.
Right.
There's always going to be a loss of time.
Right.
But it's not any different than when you spend too much time blaming yourself. Because there's still a consequence, there's still a loss of time, and there's still an impact to people around you.
Right.
Right.
The
Either
closest
way you look
people
at it,
around you.
right. Either way you look at it, quality time is lost.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's big because if you sit in a space where you're blaming yourself, you're down, like you're not accessible. Hey, let's go. Nah, like
Right.
I don't deserve it.
And that's like little short bursts of depression. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm depressed for maybe 15, 20 minutes,
Right.
but then I'm good. You're almost in this like kind of like a bipolar state.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me get up out of this. But then let me go back and woe is me,
Right.
woe is me.
And so you said 15, 20 minutes. Some folks go through the in and out 15, 20 years.
Right.
Well, yeah. Well, I can't say they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you can get stuck in a space where like you'll never do something again. Like you'll get opportunities because you messed up in a certain space. Some people mess up relationally. I'm never gonna get into another relationship, and they kind of, it's like a death sentence on a particular space, or like I'm never gonna do business again, or I don't, because even if I have a partnership with somebody and I screw it up, I'm never gonna do a partnership with them because I don't know how to do it right. Like and never taking the plunge, never, doing more than what you just normally do, but knowing that you want more, but you're afraid that I'm gonna jack this up again. I don't want to do the leadership position again because last time I messed it up. Like last time I made bad decisions. Not realizing that, things happen, just things fall apart. We can't, and it's kind of like the other side of like living in regret. Living with a consequence or a decision that I've made and being stuck in that space, never wanting to move because I made bad decisions or I made a bad decision. And I think we as people just need to be able to move forward. And like you said, you can't sit in it. And like you said, Pastor, you sat in the dungeon way too long. Like somebody, it's like, I gotta go down there for a minute, take my lashes, and then move forward. Realize, because you gotta look at all, like, okay, I did this, but I might have connected to the wrong people as well to do this thing. So it's like, this is what I did wrong, and this is what I did wrong. Let's try not to do these two things again. But like you said, you can't, like you said, going into the burst of the burst of depression is like excited, then thinking about like excited,
Yeah.
And that's the rough part. It's crazy, right? So I being in churches and ministries and stuff, me and Sam has probably been apart. She always called me a joined addict because I like, I always felt like I need to be a part of somebody's ministry or church. Granted, I think I jumped into relationships too fast. And then it came to a point where I wasn't joining another church. I was like, I ain't joining another church. I'm not being a part. I don't care what's going on. At least Jesus shows up and says, "Come, my son, this is the place. I'm never, ever again." And like, that's not good either. Like you see some great things. Oh, that's nice. Still not joining. we're helping men in relationship. We're doing great. That's good. I'll come, but I ain't joining.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not with
I
it.
think that's part of my issue right there, man. Me and the wife, well, the wife, she always have been since the day we met. Um, I guess tagging me along in our spiritual journey. So, but I wouldn't mind having a certain, I guess, home
Right.
as far as spirituality.
Right.
But yeah, but I think back to all the times when you talk about joining. I didn't join this church. I was like, man, I done seen all these con artists and all these cats up here in front of this podium that just make me sick. Be like, y'all just ridiculous, man. When you get up there and all you talk about is money and I want to be a millionaire and the congregation gonna make me a millionaire, you hold your microphone to the congregation, say, hey man. And I'm like, what? You telling them like
You're in the back like, say what?
Yeah, I'm like, you want us to pray for you to be a millionaire? Like, I'm like, y'all gonna make it like, say, hey, man. I was like, man, come on, man. I was ready to leave right then, but we still had it's like we had just got there, so we couldn't leave. I was like, that ain't what it's like my opinion.
Right.
When you up there and you preach to the congregation, you should be giving, not trying to receive. You at least, but I'm not a preacher, so you know what I'm saying. But like, you should be teaching the message, giving a message,
Right.
Sending a message,
Right.
giving a vision of a message.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
when you just me on the podium, and then you got the whole congregation like it's a concert. You know what I'm saying? Like, pray for me. Y'all want me to be this? I know y'all want this from me.
Right.
I say, well, man, maybe it was just that day, but I never went back to see if it was just that day. So you know what I'm saying? It threw me off, turned me off from the get-go. But I done been to a lot of churches, man, and most of them, because when I was in Texas, I didn't go to church at all.
Okay.
But then when I met my wife,
Okay.
well, I didn't say at all. When my granddaddy died, it was over with. So
I got you.
But anyway, when I got to Georgia, met the wife. You know what I'm saying? She was in it 5 days a week. I'm talking about church almost every. It was only maybe 1 or 2 days a week she wasn't at church. So when we got together, I was like, I ain't got no problem with church.
Right.
I know the Lord. I done had my first communion. I done been baptized. So I kind of know two religions. So I was just going with her as we was dating. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, every Sunday we at church. You know, we gonna go try this church. What's the name? Want us to go over this church? And I'm there. I'm not disputing it.
Right.
But when I hear all these people, I was like, did you get a message out of that? Because the message I got wasn't. Can you break down what you heard? No, I'm gonna break down what I heard.
I got you.
And so but I'm still looking. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I see that little insignia on your shirt. You ain't got to put your body in an awkward position for me to see that. I got you. Hey, we gonna come visit your church too.
Just for clarity, everybody.
Every time we go to your church, it's always for an event. Yeah. Oh, well, I can't even say church. Every time we see you, it's at an event. Right. You're doing something for the community or that, but I ain't never really been to a service.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
He said, oops.
Sit on down, man.
Now, for clarity,
I ain't got to say nothing.
It's for where Kaneem lives and the ministry's at, it's not like around the corner. So it is a little bit of a hike. So we'll.
Yeah, I find it. I hear what you're saying, man, and I hear this so often, bro. And what's really sad is that's not everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and for the people where that's not the case, because that's not the case, you're not as popular. The churches that are preaching the word aren't the popular churches.
Yeah. I've been to Creflo. I've been to Eddie Long. I've been to all these big mega places.
See, listen, I'm listening to you. I've been to Creflo. I've been to Eddie Long.
That segment, when listen, Kadeem, when you say Creflo, you need to rewind back and just see how Pastor's face just changed. Like, I'm not gonna say it on camera, but
I don't listen. I have nothing to say with regards to the man, to Creflo Dollar, to Jamal Bryant. I think they've done some remarkable things. But
yes.
You know, when you talk about trying to get a word, you know, it's Creflo preaches every week. Jamal Bryant preaches, I would imagine, almost every week, you know, because there's always a constant rotation of special guests coming in, you know, over there. But I'm just saying, when you're operating on that level, it's a production, you know, and the salvation is not in the production.
Right.
It's after the benediction. And that's what I think most people like you're not going to get, like, the Bible defines preaching as folly. It's to captivate the listener, to draw you in, so that I can reach you, so that the Lord can make a connection with you. You know, what people don't realize is, you know, when you go to a service every week and the preacher's talking about, you know, making money and building your business and all of that, you know, that's not salvation. That's life. That's somebody trying to build and expand your life, right? But on Sunday, you know, I look at Sunday as an opportunity to win a soul to Christ. Right? I look at Tuesday as an opportunity to increase your knowledge of the Word of God.
Right.
And then, you know, Monday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday, you know, we can talk about life and what's going on in your house, your business, and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't want to use Sunday morning to tell you that you can be successful in business. I don't want to use Sunday morning to tell you that you could be a millionaire. And far too many preachers do that. And when you do that, you lose people.
Right.
You know, you got one opportunity to speak a message to somebody's heart and try to reach them. Yesterday, I preached a message about taking flight.
Right.
Right. And my words, and I said this, I'm going to quote myself. If you have the wrong flight plan, if Jesus is not the author of your flight plan, your destination is going to be hell.
Right. All right.
That's going to make you think about your spiritual life. And you ain't thinking about how much money you got in the bank. You think about, oh, Lord, I need to get to heaven.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. See, to me, that's what Sunday, and I don't want to turn this into something else, but, you know, I have, like, we're talking about living with consequences. The church lives with the consequence of preachers preaching prosperity.
Yeah, indeed.
The church is suffering the consequences of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
But the church is also, the institution of the church is also suffering the consequences of preaching salvation.
Right.
Because ain't nobody trying to hear about going to heaven.
Right.
A lot of people believe that they're going to heaven.
Right.
A lot of preachers,
right,
who ain't going believe they're going.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Indeed. Right. So what I'm saying is, like, what I love about this, all of, like, I heard what you said, man. You know, we're all going to be held accountable for how we live and what we have done.
Yes.
You know, but I would say this. I would say that I'd rather live with the consequence of preaching the gospel and simplifying the word of God than any amount of money that anybody could ever pay me or that I could encourage you to go get.
Right.
That's what I want to be known for.
Right.
So I'm gonna give it back to the man.
But yeah, that's good. It just, you know, going back to, like, how we got into the conversation, you know, you just have to be open to knowing, like, you know, knowing that your word is out there, you know, your space is out there. And sometimes we might scrutinize too hard of a small piece of something.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, you know, and just as a side note, I'm not saying any place you've been was the right place or was the wrong place. But like how like you go someplace and you're like, yeah, we about to go somewhere, and some negative Nancy was like, well, you're not gonna have a good time.
Right.
Like, oh, it's not gonna work, or someone come with you somewhere and they're like, oh, this is gonna be a scam, and they go in with the scam mindset. They're looking for any piece that sounds like a scam, any piece that they can kind of turn it around. And that's not just you going to church. That's for a lot of opportunities. Like, if something went wrong in one space, you go in looking for the same wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, man. I've learned this. When you seek the Lord, you'll find him.
Right.
There is somebody under the leadership of that church where the pastor's name is Creflo Dollar. There are people under that leadership that are anointed people of God that are living a life that are going to break heaven wide open.
Right.
There are people there are many churches that have a prosperity ministry where people are in that church and they saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost and living a life worthy of God to brag about. Right. Yeah. There's also churches where they preach nothing but the gospel truth, and the devil's sitting out there in the pew.
Yeah, indeed.
Pretending.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
So, and all I'm saying is, if you go into a church looking for the Lord, I believe you'll find him.
Definitely.
If you go in looking for distractions, you'll find those too. That's what I believe. I think that a lot of the mistakes that we make in life, obviously, is because of the motive that we have on the inside. A lot of the regrets that I have in life are because I went into something wrong. Can't hear you, bro. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can't hear you. We can hear you now. Nope.
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah, and like, just as true for what you're seeking in God is true for what you're seeking in a relationship, which is true for what you're seeking in business. What are you looking for? What do you
Well, I feel Kaneem, because Kaneem is the kind of brother's like, look, give me some truth. I want to come in here and I want to hear some truth. And he's one of the greatest part about his life, about his spirit, is he's very discerning.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely. He know when you're full of mess and when you when you're being real. Right. His words would be game, recognize game. Yeah. Right. That's just another way of talking about, spiritual discernment. Right. Sometimes we have spiritual discernment, but we call it something else. Right. Right. And he has real discernment. He could tell, he could feel truth, and he could feel falsehood. And so a guy like Kaneem going and trying to find something that's going to help him, if you clowning, he's going to call you a clown, and he's not going to want to have anything else to do with you. Right. You don't get many chances with brothers like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. But yeah, so we're talking about, again, Brothers of Legacy. My watch is dead, so I don't know what time it is. We were talking about the living with consequences. Yeah. We appreciate you guys for being here and being a part. So in all, the thing is, like, we talk about living with consequences. There is always, when things go wrong, when you wanted them to go right, like Pastor, the situation at work. and like I said, he wasn't sure if he was on the table for any opportunities to get something. He just knew at that moment, if my man was the gatekeeper, it probably wasn't happening, at least for a season. So, got over that embarrassment moment. So appreciate you, Lisa. But the thing is, the key is not to sit in a regretful place, not to beat yourself up into, where you can't move forward, where you won't make that decision again when presented with an opportunity. You don't want to sit in stagnation in particular areas because something goes wrong. And I get it. Like if it comes
Did you
to
say stagnation instead of stagnation?
Stagnation. Yeah. You know, and here, Brothers of Legacy, we like to create new words.
Martin, now you know that's not a word.
But basically, you know, you don't want to get stuck. Don't get stuck. And I get like if it's your first time investing in something, like and you invest in somebody, you feel like it's solid, and they run off with your money. You're like, I'm never gonna invest in anybody else again. You just got to write off. I just made a bad judgment. Listen, it looked good, you know. And sometimes, honestly, sometimes there aren't always clear warning signals.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I know I'm long-winded, man, but you're not going to be successful without mistakes.
Right. That's it.
The greatest day of my life is when I actually came up for air and got over myself. Right. It did two things. It let me know I did not have to die in my mistake.
Right.
But it also let me know that it won't be the last time I make a mistake.
Right.
And some of the harshest consequences is harboring unforgiveness for yourself or for somebody that's not valuable enough for you to be harboring. No one is worth harboring unforgiveness.
Right.
Right. And being able to live with the consequences of your actions only makes you stronger.
Right.
When you can recognize and accept the consequences of a bad decision or mistake that you've made, to your point, it's an enabler for going higher in life. Right. A lot of our consequences are regrettable. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they're not, and some of them are life-changing, life-impacting. Absolutely.
Indeed.
But when you continue to grow and continue to evolve, it just makes you better. And I think it was Richard who said he's wiser now.
Right.
It makes you wiser. It enables you to think better and more critically when you're making decisions in your future. So there's nothing wrong with living. See, I'm being long-winded.
You're good. You're good. Oh, yeah. That's successes in the mistakes. You learn, you grow, you develop, and you keep trying. If
you ain't failing, you ain't trying.
Right. There it is.
Yeah.
You ain't failing, you ain't trying.
Fail forward.
Right. Yes, sir. All right. So we appreciate you guys for rocking and hanging with us. My podcast people, thank you for listening all the way through. Continue to share. Continue to let everybody know that the Brothers of Legacy are on. We got things happening this year, but just hang on, find out, stay connected. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. Never miss a broadcast. Speaking of Legacy Walker broadcast, network broadcast, tonight at 8 p.m. we have Purpose for Forever. I won't say what we're talking about because it might change, but because I got my board up there, I got it written. But you know, we've been going back and forth on some topics. So definitely check us out and be a part of our conversation. All right. So we look forward to seeing you same time, same place. Continue to be safe, do the right thing, and know that we love you, but God loves you more. And we'll see you in the AM. Peace out. As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more. Stay safe.